to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a debut author and the author of the book The Play Sheet, a simple resource for overloaded professionals, none other than Mr. Brian Hurtak. Welcome, Mr.
Hey, Daniel.
Brian. Yes, welcome on Book
Yeah,
101, Mr. Brian. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
yeah, Daniel. My name is Brian Hurtak. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm just your average run of the mill father of two, husband, corporate executive. Like many people that were trying to get better, both professionally and personally. And I struggled for a lot of years. And I found a framework from an unexpected place, football coaches, American football coaches on every single sideline. And I wrote a book about it called The Play Sheet, a simple resource for overloaded professionals. And happy to share the book with you today.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Brian. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So tell us, the overload epidemic, what is the single biggest misconception about productivity that keeps smart professionals feeling perpetually overwhelmed and behind?
Yeah, I mean, there are several sources of information overload. I mean, there are a lot of studies about it today. There's even terms about it today: infobesity, data smog, infoxication or infotoxication. So it is a challenge, and I think any of your listeners probably can admit that there's just too much information for us today. There's also multiple sources of that information, whether you're proactively looking for it or it's bombarding you every 5 seconds via your phone notifications or email inbox, or people talking to you, I guess, or emails at work, right? It's also difficult to manage that information, and that causes a lot of inability to process it and use it effectively in your day to day. And then there's also a lot of irrelevant information. Like I don't think a lot of people have a filter of what they seek out or what they absorb, and so that also creates information overload. And then probably the biggest driver to answer your question is time. The lack of time that we have to understand, process, absorb, internalize that information. If you take all those different components, it creates an overwhelming inability for us to actually make good decisions, or in relation to my book, effectively execute the skills or plays or things you're trying to do in your personal or professional day.
Interesting, Mr. Brian. Why call it a play sheet? How does a framing it take a sports playbook rather than a boring to-do list change our mindset and approaches to
Yep.
the workday?
Yeah. So look, like many people, I found myself struggling to effectively apply all the great information. I went back, got my MBA, my master's in business. I was listening to podcasts. I was reading every leadership or professional development book or functional book or associated with my job. I had mentors. And so I was proactively seeking information. But in my day to day, there's a difference between like doing the tasks that you want to do and actually effectively executing the skills at an efficient level. And what I learned, and when I was one day, I tell this story on a lot of the programs I've been on, and I tell it in the book. I was sitting on my couch preparing for my work week ahead, and I already felt overwhelmed and overloaded with all the information that I had coaching my week, both personally and professionally. And on the corner of my eye, in approach, I saw a football coach, an American football coach on the sideline with a laminated sheet of paper covering his mouth. And what I realized in that moment is every coach on every sideline at every single level has this cheat sheet of sorts to help them quickly recall and apply the right play based on the formation or situation they're facing in that moment. Now, coaches have massive playbooks, hundreds of plays, but they can't bring that entire encyclopedia of plays onto the sideline, because when they're coaching on the sideline, there's a matter of about 5 seconds for them to look at the formation, recall a play that's relevant to the situation, relay it to the team on the field, which could be 18 to 20-year-old kids, basically, and execute it effectively and do that over and over and over without being overwhelmed by the pressure, by the clock ticking down, by the loud noise that the opponent fan section is making. All those attributes or all those challenges, they have to quickly be organized, recall and apply the right play based on the challenge they're facing in that moment. And what I learned is that if every coach is doing it, why don't I do that similar framework in my own personal professional life?
In a world of complex productivity apps and systems, what was the driving philosophy behind creating a deliberately simple resource, Mr. Brian?
Yeah. In the book, I talk about 4 things. There's 4 chapters: ethos, playbook, play sheet, and then making adjustments to that play sheet. I can go into ethos later, but the purpose of ethos is defining your character or defining who you or your team are and want to be. And based on that, you use it as a filter to determine what information you really need to seek out. Second, once you do that, most people are disorganized in where that information is stored. What coaches do is they have a playbook where they put everything: their philosophy, their nutrition plan, their exercise plan, their directory, their plays, etc. But they don't take that playbook with them. What they do is from each week, they watch film based on themselves and on their opponent, and they do a game plan. So the first step for you to easily create your play sheet is determine what are you facing and what do you want to be great at over the next 30 to 60 days. And get really focused on that. What is your game plan of how you want to improve? And that could be you're a new manager, you're going through a reorg, maybe you have challenges on the home front, maybe marital challenges, maybe you have challenges being a good parent. It could be many different things. What is the focus or topic that you want to improve on? And then based on that situation in your game plan, you keep it simple. You take categories of plays from the things that you've learned, whether it's today or in the past, and you quickly pull them. 5 categories, maybe 5 plays. A really quick blur, just to trigger and remind you of the thing you've already spent countless hours and time and energy learning. So when you're facing that situation, you can realize what's in front of you, glance at your play sheet, see the play or the blurb associated with that play. It'll trigger the response of what you're trying to actually apply, and then you apply it. And the last thing I'll say here is that it's important that you use it. Like any football team or any athletic team, if you don't run the play, you're not going to get better at it. So a lot of us go to a conference or webinar and we hear this incredible advice, but we don't intentionally apply it. And if we do, maybe we do it once. And so you need to use it, run the play. And the last chapter of my book is how you make adjustments over time using repeatable routines and retrospectives to figure out how do I tweak the play? How do I make the play more relevant to me? How do I make it more relevant to my team? And how do I make it better over the course of my season of life?
Interesting, Mr. Brian. The system and how it works. The anatomy of play sheet. What are the absolute non-negotiable components of a play sheet, and what is the purpose of each one, Mr. Brian? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
Daniel, I seem to have lost you for a moment. I
Okay,
I can hear you. I apologize. It seems I have lost you for a moment.
no worries.
You there?
So, yes, I will repeat the system on how it works. The anatomy of play sheet. What are the absolute non negotiable components of a play sheet, and what is the purpose of one of each one?
Yeah, the non-negotiable is that you use it, that you put the plays on there. On my website, myplaysheet.com, you can go and see some of the templates that I have out there. And on the play sheet, it's pretty straightforward. Every coach, it's not rocket science. It's pick 5 categories of plays you're trying to improve on based on your game plan or your what you're facing in your life. Put small plays on there with good triggering responses, like I said a few moments ago, quotes, stats, whatever. Also, a lot of people on their play sheet put their scorecard for work or information that will help them be better in their personal professional life. So just using it and putting that information on there is the non-negotiable. The
Non
purpose of it
negotiable.
is for you to be intentional and actually use it versus I think a lot of people just hope that they will read something and actually apply it. And what the play sheet is just a simple resource for overloaded people to easily organize and apply what they're learning. That's the purpose of it. I don't think people are intentional of how they're trying to execute plays, how do they want to get better in their day to day. And that's what this resource is for.
And thank you for doing that, Mr. Brian. And does the play sheet actively help people identify and eliminate tasks and feel urgent but contribute little to their core goals, and how?
Yeah, look on the play sheet. I think the more and more you use it, like any skill, there are, and I use it all the time, and I'm using it right now. When people use it more and more, there are a lot of studies I said around information overload and how you actually make skills into habits. And the 3 phases. This is from a book, 99U, from an author, Joshua Foer, and he talks about 3 phases. The first is the cognitive phase, where you basically are just intellectualizing the task. You're learning it, you're applying it, you're discovering it, how you can use it to perform better, but you make a lot of mistakes early. So that's why you got to use the play sheet. You run the play, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. In football, if you watch a team run a play in week 1 versus about week 10 or towards the end of the season, you'll see how much more effective they are at running that play. They're a lot more in sync as a team in running it and calling it. And so that's kind of where you are in the initial phases of running the play. You're in the cognitive phase. The second phase is the associative phase, when we're making fewer errors, or incrementally or iteratively getting better. And so the more you run it, the better you get. And then over the course of time, you get to the autonomous phase. You basically turn it on to autopilot. I don't know about you, but sometimes in the course of your career, you just get really good at running certain things, or how you make certain decisions, or how you run certain meetings, or how you communicate to large audiences or small audiences, or how you communicate to an individual contributor, a direct report, or a spouse, or a child. And so as you run the plays more and more, they become autonomous. And therefore you start to master the plays, they become your key plays, and they evoke confidence in you and it really becomes a domino or a snowball effect for you to run more plays and keep doing this framework over time.
Confidence indeed. And Mr. Brian, as an author and as well as an entrepreneur, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, first and foremost, I want to be a great spouse and a great father. I'm married with two kids, been married for 11 years. So my favorite quote is schedule your priorities, don't prioritize your schedule, from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So be a great dad and a great spouse. Have a great family. That's priority number one. I work for Fortune 100 corporations, and so I want to be a great leader, great boss, and I want to make an impact in the company and the communities I'm a part of. And third, in those communities I'm a part of, I want to leave a lasting legacy, whether that is through philanthropy or through giving my service, my time. And this book is one of those goals of my life to pass down something that I learned that's worked for me that I can pay it forward to other people so that they can actually effectively achieve more personal professional needs.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Brian, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
I don't know if you want to be like me. I think you want to be like you. So
Yes.
the first chapter of my book is ethos. And many football coaches, the first thing they said, and what I did is I went and studied over 50 coaches across the country on their process of creating their play sheet. And I was going to write a book just about the play sheet. But every coach, when I met with them, stopped me and said it all begins with culture or character. I didn't probe for that. It was literally one of those things that every single coach said without me seeking it. And so the reason it's the first chapter of the book is because, as I said earlier, for information overload, we have too many sources of information, too much information. It's difficult to manage information, and most of it is irrelevant. And one quote I really, really love is you can do anything, but not everything. It's quoted by David Allen. And I think a lot of us face that and try to be everything to everybody, and you can't. It's kind of that good to great principle. And so, what I tell your listeners or your audience is that you really have to ask yourself one question: who do you want to be? And when you ask yourself that question, that will define your character, and that will create the filter or the lens for everything you spend time learning, everything you spend time doing, and everything you spend time trying to get better at. And every decision you make will be grounded in that ethos or character. And ethos comes from Aristotle's book of rhetoric. It's not something I created. It's ethos, pathos, logos, and it is the art of persuasion. And I think it's really important that we take time, determine who we want to be, get focused, and then go kick some butt.
Let's kick some butt, Mr. Brian. And thank you for that advice. Oh, can you please recommend a book or books that influenced your journey?
Oh man, there's a lot of books. And from a football lens, there was Nick Saban's Trust the Process. That was there. I've read countless books. Atomic Habits was another big one of how do you really become habitual in some of the things that you're trying to get better at each day. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, is obviously a big one. I'm a big fan of the former 99U series, all their books, which Manage Your Day to Day was a big book that I really, really loved. Really helped manage my time, get organized, manage my energy more effectively. Those are just a few of countless books that I've read over the years that really inspired me to be more productive, more effective in my day to day.
Well, thank you for the recommended books, Mr. Brian. And how does the play sheet flex to meet the needs of a different types of overloaded professionals, from creative entrepreneurs to corporate managers?
Yeah, the play sheet is agnostic of whatever it is you're trying to get better at, whether that's individually, and that could be personally or professionally, as I've said multiple times, or it could be for your team as well, whether that's in a corporate setting, a business setting, or any other setting. So the great thing about the play sheet is that it is relevant to you. So what do you want to be is your ethos. Chapter 2 is putting all that information in your playbook, your life, like all the things that you spend time learning, put them in one central place. And what the play sheet, why it's different and relevant for everybody in every situation. Like I said, I have ones for being a good husband. I have parenting play sheets. I have play sheets to being a good manager or leader in my day to day. I have play sheets for talking about the play sheet. So whatever it is you're trying to learn, you often have a lot of information. And all this resource is a way for you to distill it down, organize it, create your cheat sheet, have it in front of you, recall it in real moments, run the play, and get better over time. This is super basic, super easy, and super effective.
Super easy and effective for sure. Mr. Brian, how do you respond to someone who says, I'm too overwhelmed to even start a new system like this?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the speaking engagements I'm on, that's the first barrier to do this. And I'm not going to lie to you, it takes time to do it. But once you do it, it is a slow down to speed up moment. And I would say you can keep repeating the same mistakes. You can keep spending time, money, and energy on not getting better. You can keep spending time on making bad decisions because you have too much information in your brain, or you can do something about it. And here are the steps. Step one: define who you want to be. Take some time. Step two: playbook. Get everything in one central place. People have podcast bookmark. They have highlighted sections in their book. They have notes. They have OneNotes. They have Apple Notes. They have things everywhere. Journals. But they have it everywhere. Get it all in one central place. And every time you learn something new, put it in the same place and organize it like you organize your closet. That's the biggest thing that takes time. And then once you have it, especially with a lot of the generative AI tools, Copilot, ChatGPTs of the world, then you just ask yourself, what am I facing now? And instead of that Sunday me feeling overwhelmed, I spend 30 minutes and saying, what do I got the next 30 days? Maybe it's a big meeting, a big pitch. My children have a big test or facing a challenge in their life. I go look at my playbook, ask it about the top plays that are out there, pop them on this play sheet. Then I look at my calendar and I start to run the plays. So it doesn't take a lot of time. And once you build it once, it snowballs and it becomes autonomous for you to do. I've been doing this for over 10 years and I don't spend any time on it. The only question I ask myself is in the adjustments. Every month or quarter, I ask myself, do I have a new focus? Do I have a new challenge? Is there something I want to get better at? And then I create a new play sheet. And guess what? I keep all the old play sheets. Sometimes you can reuse them. Football coaches play the same teams every year. They start with 80, 90% of what they used in the prior year, and they iterate based on nuances of that team and how they changed since the last time they played them. So, I would say to those people that feel like doing this is overwhelming in itself is slow down, speed up, spend an afternoon getting organized, and try it. And I bet you if you try it, you'll start to see some returns on your investment.
What is the trick to making the play sheet A sustainable habit rather than just another thing they try and abandon after a week.
Yeah, in the book, I close with you can be a one or done or Hall of Famer. There's a lot of players and a lot of coaches that have had one good season, right? A lot of musicians that have one good song, a lot of people that have one big win in their corporate life. But if you really want to be a Hall of Famer, you want to leave a lasting impact, you want to have a legacy, um, you have to make this a repeatable routine. And so the adjustment section of my book, which is chapter 4, isn't that hard. What I tell people is at the end of every week or at the end of every quarter, depending on what you want to do or how much you want to use it, is watch the film on yourself. Then ask the question, are things changing? Am I getting better? And then update your play sheet. That's it. So it's as simple as carving about an hour, maybe 2 hours every week or every quarter, maybe every month if you want to do it in your own way. And just ask yourself, how am I performing? Is my opponent changing? And do I need to add new plays or keep running the existing plays until they become habitual? So just create some time on your calendar, just like you would do working out or eating healthy. This is just a habit you need to form.
Habit, people. Make it a habit. It will be immune to your system. And it's easy for you to do. Mr. Brian, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 second season. I'm a food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season. I'm a baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Brian, if you could have a listener or viewers do just one thing differently tomorrow morning based on your book, what would that first play be?
That play is going to be relevant to them. But what I would say is create your play sheet, jot down just 3 to 5 things that you want to use in your day to day and do it and carry it around and use it. It is as simple as that. Build the play sheet, use it. That's what I would tell them to do. What they do and what they put on it is based on what they're facing in their own personal or professional life.
Just do it, people. Just do it. And Mr. Brian Hurtak, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your debut book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah. If you're looking for executive coaching, or if you're looking for speaking engagements, podcasts, or just looking to buy my book, you can find all that information on myplaysheet.com. You can purchase my book on any digital book retailer out there, most notably at Amazon.com. It is an Amazon bestseller. And lastly, keep an eye out is that we're starting our own series called Friday Night Insights, coming later this year, early next year. So look out for that as well. Thanks, Daniel, for having me. It's been an honor to be on Book 101.
Well, thank you also, Mr. Brian, for being part on Book 101 Review. And yes, people, let's support Mr. Brian Hurtak because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering coaching to come. So, Mr. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome, people. See you